I just took about 2 pumps of this on the back of my hand because that's what I always do, and that was obviously going to be a pump too much since I'm only doing half my face, so we're off to a great start, Kaylee. Hello, hi, welcome. If you're new here, my name's Kaylee. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. As you can tell by the title of this video, today we are going to be doing a comparison foundation review, comparing the new Urban Decay Naked Foundation to the Revlon Colorstay Foundation, one of my personal all-time favorite foundations for oily skin. Now, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I do remember reading somewhere that this foundation was more geared towards oily skin, which I have oily skin, so perfect. I couldn't find on their website if they had this geared more towards oily or dry. They just said that it's more of a matte finish. Matte? It's a matte finish foundation. Anyways, the Revlon Colorstay is like my all-time favorite go-to everyday foundation for oily skin. I think that's a great foundation at a great price. When I saw Urban Decay launch this foundation in a matte formula and I heard people talking about it being more for oily skin, it piqued my interest. I do work full-time, so I'm going to work doing my makeup first thing in the morning, and I'm not taking my makeup off a lot of times till like 10 p.m. at night. So I am doing like 12+ hour makeup wear days very, very often. So I'm curious, and I also thought it might be helpful for you other oily gals out there if I did a little comparison review of my favorite oily foundation. If I did a comparison of my favorite foundation for oily skin versus the new Urban Decay one on oily skin. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be applying the Urban Decay foundation on half of my face and the Revlon foundation on the other half so that you guys can see. And we're going to be doing a full wear test. I'm going to try to wear it for at least 12 hours today so we can kind of see a comparison and how they break down and how they wear on my oily skin. So I hope you guys are as excited about this review as I am. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like this content and you enjoy what you see and you find this video helpful, because it helps me out a lot if you do that. Like, comment, share, helps me out. If you enjoyed this type of content as well as other fashion and makeup related type videos, this is the channel for you. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and let's go ahead and jump into this foundation review. All right, to start out today, we are going to be taking the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, and I'm just gonna kind of take this in my T-zone area where I get really oily. I've been using this for a while, and I'm not really sure if it makes a big difference in my makeup, but it's what I've been doing lately, so it's what I'm gonna do today. So I bought the Urban Decay foundation online because it was pretty much sold out in the stores, and they didn't have the colors that I was interested in anyways. So I ordered it online, and oh my gosh. I just went to pump it and it went psh. So just don't wear a cute shirt and then do the foundation. The description of the color is pretty accurate, but it is a lot lighter than I thought and a little bit more yellow than I thought. So I'm gonna have to pick between the other 2 shades that I have of the Revlon foundation. A lot of times I'll mix them together. So I'm gonna have to compare them to the Naked foundation so that I don't have one half of my face being a completely different color than the other. This is the Naked, these 2 are the Revlon. So these 3 colors obviously have 3 completely different undertones. It looks like the lighter shade of the Revlon is actually the one that I'm gonna go for today because it's gonna be a little closer to the Naked one. Not perfect, but it's gonna be a little bit closer. All right, we're gonna start out with the Naked foundation. I'm going to apply it on the left side of my face here, or your right. I just took about 2 pumps of this on the back of my hand because that's what I always do, and that was obviously gonna be a pump too much since I'm only doing half my face, so we're off to a great start, Kaylee. But anyways, we're just gonna take this on the Real Techniques sponge. This is what I always do when applying my foundation. So the first thing I noticed right away when applying this is that it is a more liquidy formula. So I would say it's definitely not a full coverage foundation. I believe they said it was more of a medium coverage, which I could see that. It's more of a medium coverage to me. It's definitely not full coverage by any means. It is a very, very like liquidy kind of consistency. I have been wearing this foundation for the last 2 days, kind of getting a feel of how it wears. I've noticed a lot of similarities in how this foundation actually wears on my skin. I was initially going to do a review solely on this foundation, but after wearing it for the last 2 days, I just had the idea of doing a comparison review to my favorite foundation. I haven't seen any of these done yet, so I thought this might be a little bit more helpful for you guys than just your typical foundation review of this foundation by itself. I have done these comparison type videos on my channel in the past, and I think you guys actually like them and like the comparison to a already popular product. Now here's the tricky part of just putting it on half of my nose.
All right, guys, Editing Kaylee here. Just thought I'd read you a little bit about this foundation from their website. It says it is a weightless liquid foundation with buildable medium coverage, real skin matte finish with up to 24-hour wear. It is vegan, has 50 shades, with a waterproof, flexible formula, claims to minimize the appearance of pores, and is 100% cruelty-free.
With it being so liquidy, it does dry down to a pretty soft, almost powdery finish pretty quickly. I have a couple little blemishes here. It is kind of clinging a little bit to the dryness there, but aside from that, it does look really nice everywhere else. Yeah, so it is more of a true medium coverage in my opinion. I look like totally ghostly. Pretty much dry now. It feels very, very comfortable. It gives me a little bit of clinging to my dry areas, which is something that I'm kind of noticing right in through here. But it is looking a little bit dry in this area, and you can still see my blemishes through the foundation, so we are gonna have to go in and just do a little bit of touch-ups with some concealer. But this is the initial application of the Naked foundation on this side. Skin does feel pretty dried down at this point. As you can see, it is a pretty matte finish foundation. You don't really see any luminosity or glow to the skin. So that is what I like to see when I initially apply my foundation, is that pretty matte finish, because then it's gonna help kind of block out some of those oils at the start of my day, so my makeup will last longer throughout the day. Okay, so fun little side note, my camera just died and my backup battery was not charged, so it's been about 10 minutes since I've had this side done, but I have a little bit of juice in this camera, so I'm gonna try to be quick, and we're gonna do the Revlon side of my makeup over here. Just came like totally prepared to today's video. I didn't decide to film it like super last minute this morning when I woke up, like no. All right, so here we go with the Revlon side. This consistency of this foundation is just a little bit thicker, a little bit, I don't want to say like moussier, but almost moussier. Actually, I don't think the color is going to be too bad. One thing I am noticing is this side, even though it is nice and dry now, I didn't put any powder at all, but it's not really creasing super bad under the eyes. It doesn't really look bad anywhere that I didn't set with powder yet. This side, I think it just gives a little bit more coverage, but this foundation I think offers a nice amount of coverage. I'm not a full coverage girl by any means. I don't really like that super full coverage look. I kind of like to see a little bit of my like freckles and a little bit of my skin through the foundation. I just like more of a high medium coverage, which I think is what this foundation is. More of a high medium versus this just being a little bit more of a medium. But this is my 100% go-to foundation that I wear like every single day to 12+ hour days of work. It is the best foundation that I have found for oily skin. So I'm curious if you guys have any other recommendations of foundation for oily skin. I would love to try them because I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say.
All right, Editing Kaylee is back again. Here are some of the points for this Revlon foundation from their website. It says it is an oil-free, flawless matte finish foundation made for combination oily skin, up to 24 hours of wear. They call this foundation life tested. It has SPF 15, is a medium to full buildable coverage with 43 shades.
So how's the color between the two? Can you guys even notice a difference at all? So straight away, right here in the main part of my skin right here, I can see that this just looks a little bit drier than this side. This side it just lays a little bit better, I feel like. It looks a little bit nicer upon the initial application. Granted, this one's been on for about 10 minutes now. Just something to notice, it is a matte foundation, so better to have it a little bit drier upon the initial application. And then again, I've got a little blemish over here. It clings just a little bit to that area, but that's fine. So here's the Revlon foundation on. So I typically don't wear a lot of concealer on the daily. I usually just do a little bit of spot concealing and do a tiny bit under the eyes. So that's what we're doing today. I'm just gonna apply a little bit under the eye area and then just a little bit where I need a little bit of extra coverage, which actually I've changed up a couple of my skincare items and my skin honestly hasn't been doing too bad lately. I'm actually like pretty happy with how it's looking. About 2 weeks ago, it was looking pretty rough, let me tell you. And so thus inspired me to order some new skincare products and try them out. And honestly, it's looking better. All right, concealer is on. It looks really good for the most part. Both sides looking pretty much the same. and the color is pretty close. I'm just gonna take a little bit of my Cover FX setting powder and we're just gonna lightly set in the areas that I get very, very oily. This is something that I do literally every single day, so nothing out of the ordinary here. And then I'm just gonna set where I get really oily, right in this area, around the nose, and then up kind of in the middle of the forehead, and just a little bit on the chin. And that is all of the powder that I do on a daily basis. So I really have to get ready for church, so I am going to put this on a brief hold. I'm going to finish up my makeup and then we will come back to see how it's looking. All right guys, makeup is all done here. I think both sides actually look really nice. Pretty even on both sides actually. Can't really tell a color difference once we have all of the bronzer and highlight and everything else on. But I think it's looking really nice for right now. Nice and matte finish, looks pretty even. Really, really happy. So I am going to go to church now, which I'm actually running a little bit late for. Obviously, I will be wearing this foundation all day long today, and I'm gonna try to do a couple check-ins with you guys and let you guys know how it's wearing after a couple hours, and then definitely my final thoughts at the end of the day. So I'm gonna head off to church and I will check in with you guys in a little bit. All right guys, time for an update. So clearly it's after church, I have changed my outfit. It is currently 3:08. And I've had my makeup done since about 9:30 this morning. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So we have had the foundation on for about 5 hours now. So we've had a good couple hours of wear. As you can see, the oils are starting to definitely peek in on my oily areas here and here. The perimeters of my face actually still look super nice. But right in this area, you can see some texture for my pores and just some oils in that area. Obviously, we are getting a little bit oily in the normal areas, but I don't notice anything looking really bad. It just looks like, you know, had my makeup on for a little bit. It still looks really good. Both sides holding up well. I actually really do like how the foundation looks around my nose. I know I mentioned that it was looking a little bit dry upon first application this morning, but now that it's kind of settled down and we've had it on for a couple hours, it actually looks pretty good. I actually like how it looks more now than it did earlier. We talked about how it was a little dry in this area earlier. That has completely settled down and doesn't look dry at all, just looks normal, kind of looks like the rest of the skin. I'd say both sides are showing relatively the exact same amount of wear so far. I'd say neither side is looking more oily or more worn off than the other. Do have a little bit of food on my face, perfect. So I'd say we're looking good so far. This is just a quick little 5-hour update, and I will check in with you guys again later. All right guys, so this is the 12-hour update. It is officially 9:30. As you can see, my face is looking pretty oily, which is also pretty normal. So I think that both sides of my face actually look almost identical as far as oils coming through and breakdown of the foundation. I know Urban Decay's side is considered vegan and has like a lot more benefits supposedly than the more inexpensive Revlon foundation, but to be honest, application on the skin, wearing it all day long, they look exactly the same. The Urban Decay side does not look any better than the Revlon side. I've not added any additional powder or blotted my face at all today. We did have a pretty lazy Sunday where we were just kind of like laying around the house, did a little bit of light cleaning, but just kind of relaxing around the house watching movies today. It was rainy most of the day here, so didn't really spend a lot of time outside or doing anything like sweaty or anything, just kind of a relaxed day. Overall, pretty pleased. It still looks pretty good aside from my oils really coming through. If I were to blot my face or put a little bit of powder on right now, I feel like we could bring it back down to a little bit more matte and it would still look pretty good. Like, there's not really too much breakage around the nose, just a little bit, which is typical. A little bit worn off on the chin area. Looks a little heavy right here, but aside from that, the rest of it honestly looks really good. I'm actually very happy with it. This is how my skin typically looks. Like I said, I wear the Revlon makeup every single day, and this is pretty much how it looks after a long day at work. So typically I will blot my face throughout the day and kind of soak up some of the oils. Every now and then I'll powder, but most of the time I just kind of pat away any of the extra oils, and that's about it. So you guys can see for yourself here and be your own judge. But this is the Urban Decay Naked side, $39. This is the Revlon Colorstay side, $14, $13.99, $14. Looks identical on the skin. Will this long term like have better skin health benefits? Maybe. vegan, healthier ingredients. I don't know, maybe. But just based off of look on the skin, they look the same. So you really have to be your own judge and decide which of these foundations is going to be better for you, for your skin, longevity, price-wise. But for me, I think I'm going to be continuing to use my Revlon Colorstay Foundation. For me, it's not really worth paying almost 3 times the price to have my foundation look exactly the same at the end of the day. While I do think it looks nice, I think I'm just going to stick with my Revlon foundation because I'm really happy with it. I think it looks really good at the beginning of the day, throughout the middle of the day, less good at the end of the day, but still pretty good at the end of the day. For having as oily skin as I do, I still think it looks really good. So those are my final thoughts on these foundations. I hope this was helpful. I cannot wait to go and wash my face right now, so I will see you guys later. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel before you leave today. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I will see you in my next video.